Yet dearly I love you, and would be loved fain, but am betrothed unto your enemy. Divorce me, untie your break that knot again. Take me to you, imprison me, for I, except you enthrall me, never shall be free, nor ever chaste, except you ravish me. A sonnet consists of 14 lines. A Petrarchan sonnet is divided into an octave of 8 lines and a sestet of 6 lines. We have completed the octave, and we now begin the sestet. There is often a contrast between the octave and the sestet. And this contrast is signaled by what is known as the volta. Volta is an Italian word which means turn. The volta is the point in the thematic thread of the poem where a significant turn occurs. The volta is the turning point in the thematic thread of the poem, and it is usually signified by words like yet, but, and yet. In the present poem, the poet uses the word yet. The poet presents certain ideas in the octave, and a sort of reply and a sort of resolution is often contained in the sestet, and to make us realize that the thematic thread of the poem undergoes a significant turning point, the poet uses the volta. The opening lines of the sestet make the situation of the speaker crystal clear to the reader. The speaker loves God. The speaker wants to be loved by God. Fain means happily. But the problem is, the speaker is betrothed to God's enemy. Betrothed can mean engaged, engaged to be married. It can even mean married. The speaker loves God. The speaker wants to be loved by God. But the speaker is betrothed to God's enemy. So great is the bond. So strong is the bond. So unbreakable is the bond between the speaker and the enemy of God, that is Satan. The speaker so appeals to God, divorce me, untie or break that knot again. The speaker wants God to ensure that his links with Satan, his bond with Satan, his relationship with Satan is shattered. Divorce me. Ensure that my marriage to Satan ends in divorce. Ensure that the knot is untied. Ensure that the relationship is shattered. The speaker knows that this is not an easy task. So, the speaker wants God to use force. Thus, in the sestet, the poet amplifies on what was said in the first part of the octave. This task is not going to be easy. And if this task has to be successful, force has to be used. Imprison me. The speaker wants God to capture him, to imprison him, to take control of his spiritual identity by using force. Let us take one more look at the words. Take me to you, imprison me. I will not come to you on my own. You should take me to you, imprison me. You should take me to you using force. If you think that I shall come to you on my own, you are mistaken. You have to use violence to ensure that I am freed from the clutches of Satan and that I come to you. In fact, I am not going to come to you. You should take me to you. There is no doubt that John Donne has given Holy Sonnet 14. Batter my heart. A very dramatic closure. Except you enthrall me, never shall be free. Enthrall. It can mean so many things. It can mean enslave. It can mean cast a spell on. It can mean capture the complete attention of. Perhaps all the meanings of the word enthrall are simultaneously applicable here. But perhaps the most appropriate meaning is the first meaning, enslave. Except you enslave me, never shall be free. That is the paradox. If I have to enjoy spiritual freedom, I have to be enslaved by God. The speaker appeals to God to enslave him, to enthrall him, so that he may become free. A very powerful paradox. There is no freedom. There is no spiritual freedom except in the spiritual slavery to the Lord. Look at the last line of the poem. Nor ever chaste, except you ravish me. Chaste means sexually pure. I cannot be pure sexually unless you ravish me. Ravish can mean rape. Ravish can mean seize and carry away. The poet appeals to God to rape him spiritually so that he can become chaste or sexually pure. What a dramatic paradox. If the spiritual identity of the speaker has to become pure, has to become chaste, it has to undergo a forced sexual union with God. That is the nature of the speaker. Left to himself, he will not unite with God. God should ensure that there is a forced sexual union. And the only way for the speaker to be sexually pure is to be ravished, is to be raped by God. Sometimes students are scandalized by all this. John Donne using sexual imagery to deal with highly spiritual matters. I agree that on the face of it, the sexual and the spiritual are in polar opposition to each other. But in this poem, as I've already said, John Donne sexualizes the spiritual and spiritualizes the sexual. And therein lies the success of Batter My Heart. I would like to point out that by using sexual imagery to deal with profoundly spiritual ideas, John Donne was not, I repeat, John Donne was not doing something wholly revolutionary. In Christianity, there is a long mystical tradition which tries to amalgamate the sexual and the spiritual. And this is a tradition which can be traced back to the Holy Bible itself. In the Old Testament, you have the Song of Songs, which very explicitly speaks of lovers rejoicing in their sexual union. Scholars of Judaism interpret the Song of Songs as an allegory which refers to the relationship between God and Israel. Christian commentators read the Song of Songs as an allegory referring to the relationship between Christ and His church. In the New Testament, you have the exhortation, I quote, "Wives, submit yourselves to your husbands, as you submit to the Lord," unquote. You have also the exhortation, I quote, "Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself unto it," unquote. Ephesians 5:22 to 27.